had some injuries they were dealing with during minicamp. I know Matt missed all of it. Trent was really limited. What's their situations?
They're ready to go. You know, we're going to be smart with a number of our players just as we get started here, some of which are coming off of injury. You know, we've always done that in the past. We'll continue to do that with some of the older players as well, and ramp this thing up, and you know, try and stay out in front of some things as well.
Knowing you don't have a timetable and you maintain that you don't have one on Josh, a lot of the fan focus, a lot of the media focus still is on Josh Allen. And where do you see him progressing, and how fast do you see him progressing within the first 2 weeks before your first preseason game?
Well, you know, we're going to pick up where we left off in terms of how we rep our quarterbacks. I mean, when we left off from spring, you know, Josh will work with the threes for the base of the work, and AJ and Nate will work with the ones and twos for the most part. You'll see Josh in with the ones, just like he did at the end of the spring. So we'll pick up, as I said, where we left off there. You know, really, that's a hypothetical question, really, and I'm not going to get into that. I'm anxious to watch them get out here today, compete just like every other position, and put their best foot forward every day. You know, our players try and learn every experience. We try and learn from every situation, and Josh is no different.
Would it be too much, or maybe, or on the other hand, premature to have any consideration of Josh starting that first preseason game? Would you think it's going to be between AJ and Nate?
Yeah, right now we're focused on this practice that's going to happen in about a half hour here, and we'll just take it one snap at a time.
Sean, how far behind would you say Zay Jones is after missing all of the spring and now missing whatever it is that he's going to miss here at the beginning of camp?
You know, I think he's behind, and you know, that's a tough deal that he's gone through, and that said, you know, Zay's a guy that's a positive young man and has tremendous mental toughness. So our trainers and Zay have worked extremely hard to get him to where he is today, and then he'll continue to work hard as we move forward. Obviously not being with the team on the field, going through practices, but going through his rehab, so on and so forth.
Brandon, you said he was chomping at the bit. Is that an indication that his time on NFI might be short-lived, or do we have an idea?
Yeah, it's I mean, if you ask him, it probably would be, but we're probably holding him back more than he's holding himself back. We've tried to be patient. It's one of those things. The last thing you want to do is have a setback right now. Not that you couldn't, but we're just trying to be smart and get him there. He's getting a lot of mental work, and he stayed here the whole summer. And most of these guys got a vacation. Zay's vacation was rehabbing, which is not easy. And but he's in a good frame of mind, I think, and super positive despite you know, the setback of having to have that procedure.
Sean, that's holding him back related to what happened in March in LA?
I'm not going to get into what it is. It was an injury, and so he had a rough off season, but we've moved on and we're ready to go.
Sean, did you have to address the team at all in regards to the LaShawn McCoy situation, and I guess what went into the decision to let him continue to be a part of the team while this whole thing goes on?
Well, with respect to the first part of your question, you know, we address a lot as a team, and that's what teams do. They're a family. The good teams that I've been around, you can talk things through and move forward, and that's what we plan to do. Like Brandon mentioned earlier, LaShawn's focused on this practice, and just like the rest of our football team. So, you know, that's really where our focus is right now.
Sean, how can this not be a deterrent?
Or the accusations, does that concern you from a character standpoint? What you hold as a standard for your players, and to have a player, at least at this point, publicly accused of doing things that seem not in line with that?
You know, anytime, and I mentioned this to you guys before we went on vacation or took the summer break, I'm always concerned about every single one of our players, and that includes my staff. It's kind of like being a parent. You know, you worry about things, and you worry about, you know, in this case with my kids, I worry about my kids, and so, but really, you know, like I said before, LaShawn's focused on this practice. And let me also say it's a situation that we take very seriously because of the nature of the situation. you know, that said, as Brandon mentioned, you know, we've done our part, looked into what we need to look into, and as an organization feel that we can move forward at this point in time.
Sean, are you guys prepared to answer the McCoy issue every time you meet? I mean, it's got to be, you know, it's out there. It's not going to go away until it's resolved. Is it going to be a distraction? Are you ready to go at this every day?
Well, that's part of the job, right? You know, things come up through a season, and you've been around the NFL and professional sports like I have, and we talk as a team a lot about things that come up that try and pull the team apart, you know, try and pull a family apart, no different in homes, right? So things you don't anticipate, sometimes you do anticipate them, and you have to address them and get them out in the open and then move forward. And so we'll do whatever it takes to keep our team focused, and that's my job.
Brandon, obligatory Des Bryant question. You know, someone you'd be interested in bringing in here to add to the wide receiver group?
Not closing any doors. You know, same as I answered back in the spring. Very talented player. You know, we're focused on who we got here right now, but you know, things change often in this business, and not closing that avenue, you know, at some point.
How's the offensive line looking without Eric Wood?
Well, we'll see. You know, we're about to take the practice field for the first time, other than this morning's walkthrough. I'll say this: as a team, I feel like our players handled the off season in terms of their conditioning well to put themselves in position to get a lot of work in here, which is what we've got to do. We've got to make sure we are focused, and it appears that they are. It's a group that loves to work hard, and so I'm anxious to see us get our first practice really under our belt this evening.
Sean, on a day-to-day with
last year, you came into last year, no one outside of here expected to be a playoff team, and you guys made the playoffs.
Yeah.
Coming into this year, the outside perception is it's maybe not a playoff team again. Do you pay attention to any of those expectations? Do you address it, either of you, with the team when it comes to coming into this season after what you did last year?
No, you can't worry. I mean, just like there's teams that are predicted. I've been a part of teams that were predicted to go to the Super Bowl. So it goes either way, and you've got to just focus on what you can control. And you know, Sean does a great job of keeping the guys focused on. You can't worry about what everybody else thinks or says. You control the journey, you control the destiny. And to answer, you know, what we was asked earlier about adversity, every season has adversity. You know, just things that can be distractions. It's how you handle it, and it's the family atmosphere that we've tried to create here on how we'll handle it. And you know, unfortunately we got hit with something before we got started, but in some ways that's good. We're going to knock that out and refocus on camp here getting started.
And Sean, can you use that at all? Would you know, as an extra bit? Like, you're smiling, I'm wondering if, you know, in terms of like the way others perceive the team.
Yeah, we don't worry too much about that. Obviously, people have their opinions. I think this is the time of year where you see a lot of you know, people projecting and which team, which head coach, which GM, which player, and that's your job. We respect that. We certainly appreciate the stories you write about our players and the good things that are going on. But really, we're just focused on this next practice.
Sean, when it comes to, and I hate to belabor the LaShawn McCoy thing, but you said we've done our part, and as an organization feel we can move forward at this point. I'm not sure what this is for, but what was it that reassured you that you could move forward, that you could move comfortably? Was it speaking to the police, speaking with the NFL, speaking with McCoy, or all of the above?
Yeah, I'll just say, you know, really all the above. You know, again, that's when things come up. You know, our leadership team gets together and we talk, and you know, we've done our due diligence, at least to this point, on speaking with the people that we needed to speak with, including some of the ones that you mentioned, and that's what we did as basically the early part of the situation unfolded.
So is that it's fair to say that you've been reassured that you can move forward?
We're moving forward.
And did you consult with Terry and Kim, I would assume, when deciding whether LaShawn would continue to be a part of the team?
Yeah, we did. They're involved in the day-to-day operation, just like Brandon and I are. Obviously, you know, we keep them informed, and so you know, they're extremely involved in what we do, in decisions we make, not only in this situation but in other situations.
Is there a date
on a day-to-day with LaShawn out?
Yeah, I would just say, like, really, I think part of being a coach is meeting players where they are and also knowing what they're going through, whether it be LaShawn's situation or another one of our players. That's my job to keep the pulse of the team and also know what's going on in some of my players' lives as best I can and sharing, and so I think we've done a good job of that to this point, and we will continue to do that. We've got a strong group of leaders on this football team, many of whom you know already, and I rely heavily on those guys to connect my message, keep the pulse of the team, communicate with me, and we'll continue to do that moving forward.
Do you see yourself treating him any differently than you did maybe last year because everything kind of happened not in a negative way, but more just an understanding that?
Well, like I said, every situation is different, right? So, I'm going to make sure our guys are focused when they take the field and when they're in the classroom, and always aware of what they're going through off the field as well. So it's important that we're focused as a football team as we take this field in about now 20 minutes.
Sean, is there a date that you have in your mind that you'd like to have a starting quarterback in place so that you can kind of prepare, or will you take it up to even making the Ravens guess if you have to week 1 if that's what it takes?
Yeah, every situation is different. I don't think there's a perfect way out there and a perfect set date and time to name a starter. I mean, no different than a lot of positions. I understand the quarterback positions are a little bit different in some ways. We're in the middle of a competition here, and we'll see how it goes. But we're going to gather as much information as we can from the what goes on the grass and also what goes on off the field, and we'll move forward when we feel the time is right. That said, I understand where you're coming from, and it'd be nice to get a pretty good feel early on, and we'll take it one day at a time though at this stage.
Given the latitude that the NFL has, it doesn't have to necessarily follow along with sports or what the police have to say. It takes a bit of control away from the team in regard to what may or may not happen. In a situation like this, how much is the NFL in communication with you so that way you can plan accordingly based on what their intentions are and how they view the situation?
Yeah, we've communicated with them, and we feel comfortable that LaShawn's going to be here and ready to roll. We don't see that changing.
Injuries, Logan Thomas and Dupre, are they clear?
They are. I know the question about Milano earlier and another player that was mentioned. There's a number of guys that were tweaked a little bit with their injuries in the spring, and again, credit to our training staff, our strength and conditioning staff, and them really for putting the time, getting them back so that they can come out first day really and put some good work in, and we'll be smart too with those guys as well, among others.
Sean, last year you had a large portion of camp on that side field that some fans had trouble seeing. With a brand new grass field in the main spot, is that going to change how you approach where camp practices are located this year?
We're going to do our best to stay on that field and expose what we do practice-wise to as much of our fan base as possible. That's the part of the great part about coming to camp is to connect with our fan base, and we're excited to be here. It's a great facility, great people. I've had a chance to be on with a couple different organizations, and this is one of the best training camp sites that I've been a part of, and that starts with the people on campus here. So we appreciate everyone's hospitality and can't wait to get to work together here.
Sean, how much more comfortable in year 2 are you when you have to deal, and even Brandon, having to deal with not just the LaShawn thing, but anything that happens off the field? How much more comfortable are you sitting here today, entering your second season, kind of having some experience with this now?
Well, every situation is different, right? I would say overall, whether it's off the field issues or anything, I think just like when you're playing the game slows down the more experience you have. No different. I think if you're doing and handling your due diligence, the game off the field slows down as well in terms of the job in the second year. Doesn't mean it gets any easier, but the game slows down a little bit, and so you learn from things, both good and bad, that have happened in the past in terms of in year 1, and Brandon and I do a lot of working together on basically trying to improve what we're doing and evaluate one another, and move this organization in the right direction.
I know you're very detail-oriented with how you go about your business. When you go back and look at your notes from last training camp, going into your second year, how much did you change? How much did you say, I got to tweak this or tweak that? Was there a lot or a little?
There was a menu of things that we wrote down, not only myself, but the staff, Brandon and his staff, our operations staff, Brendan Rowe, Kevin Megank do a really good job of running camp. There's always things that you want to improve. But by and large, like I said before, this facility, this campus, the people here make it very easy for us to transition up to camp and get right to work.
Brandon, just to clarify on McCoy and answering Tim's question, you guys are done in terms of your investigation or whatever. It's in the hands of the police. To what extent have you communicated with the National Football League about the exempt list potentially? Where does that all stand?
Yeah, I mean, we don't control that, but we have a good understanding that it's a police investigation, and until they complete that, and there's no timeline with those things. Those things can be weeks, months, whatever. But we've been, we feel comfortable where it's at, and I think you'll see LaShawn here.
Have you guys had any conversations with the team about how you're going to handle the national anthem policy?
Yeah, I mean, we've basically acknowledged that we're aware of the conversations that are going on between the league and the NFLPA, and we appreciate the fact that both sides can come together and hopefully come to a good solution here and work together on it.
Brandon, Terry Pagula, and Sean, he described you guys as joining it, the hip and the head. When you guys heard that, did the owner get it right? Is that a pretty good compliment? You guys are you got a year on your belt now, second camp. How joined are you guys?
If I could use some of that hair that he has if we're joined. Is that what you're about to say?
Something like that. No, it's great that Terry sees that, and fortunately for Sean and I, we had 6 years in different roles, so we didn't have to have that get to know you courting period, so to speak. But no, it's been great. We're not afraid. We have honest conversations, and we're not afraid to say sometimes things that are direct, and maybe I don't like to hear what Sean says to me about something, or I'm sure things, but we both know it's for the right reasons for this team, and it helps us get to the right answer. And I'm glad that Terry sees it that way, and totally agree.
With the transition into new quarterbacks, is there one quarterback that's standing out more than any of the others, particularly A.J. McCarron?
Well, again, it's early. I mean, we're coming off of the spring and then a summer break here, and now we're just yet to take the field with our first practice. So I think we'll get a better feel for that in the next couple of days, and can better answer that question perhaps. I like all three quarterbacks. They all bring something a little bit similar yet a little bit different to the table. So that's why they're in camp with us, and we're going to move forward with that.
Sean, in regards to the battles as a whole, first few days, is it kind of acclimating with the system and getting back into things? There's not a lot of movement in those battles, or is it hit the ground running and movement could be seen within practice to practice?
Yeah, I think every case is a little bit different, right? I mean, you've got some players. I mean, look, every player on our roster has got to earn the right to be here. They know that, they understand that, and I first learned that being around Brian Dawkins years ago, who's about to go in the Hall of Fame in a week or two. So, if he has to earn his job, then we've all got to earn our job. And with that being said, there's some movement that happens sometimes in the first couple of days, and but you also want to try and be patient a little bit and let the pads come on, and they'll come on in a couple of days here. So that's really how the game's played, right? So you want to be a little bit careful not to make knee-jerk adjustments early or too early, and I learned that from playing with Sal on the golf tournament there. I waited for Sal to get his game back, but
still waiting.
I'm sure I did.
There's gonna be a bad article on you tomorrow, buddy.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.